How is it possible that a people representing less than 0.2% of the world's population control over 11% of the planet's billionaires? What enables a community that has faced persecution for millennia to produce 21% of all Nobel Prize winners in history? How do you explain that in the United States, where Jewish people comprise merely 2% of the population, they control approximately 25% of the nation's total wealth? These figures aren't statistical coincidences. They can't be explained by luck, inheritance, or favoritism. They result from ancestral codes, profound principles passed down through generations like treasure, more valuable than gold itself. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, studied these patterns for decades to understand the success principles that separate millionaires from the masses. For over 20 years, Hill interviewed more than 500 millionaires of his era, including Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and John D. Rockefeller. His research revealed something fascinating. Many of the fundamental principles these magnates applied to create and maintain their fortunes had already been practiced by the Jewish community for centuries, some for millennia. Today you'll discover 7 secrets that almost nobody reveals, connecting ancient Jewish wisdom with Napoleon Hill's revolutionary teachings. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll not only understand these codes, but know exactly how to apply them in your life to transform your mindset, habits, and results in a definitive and irreversible way. You're here because something deep inside knows you deserve far more than what you have right now. Perhaps you feel trapped in a routine leading nowhere. Maybe debts keep you awake at night wondering how to escape the financial pit, or you simply know you have dormant potential waiting to be awakened like a volcano that's been building pressure for years. You may have tried multiple success strategies, read dozens of self-help books, attended promising seminars, but still feel you're missing that crucial puzzle piece connecting all the scattered knowledge into a coherent and powerful system. For years, Napoleon Hill obsessively researched common patterns among the world's most successful people, discovering something that forever changed his understanding of success. Many principles he preached as revolutionary had already been practiced by the Jewish community for centuries. This isn't about religion, it's about mindset. It's not about cosmic luck. It's about specific codes tested and refined through generations that anyone, regardless of origin, religion, or current situation, can learn and apply. These codes have been the difference between those who escape mediocrity to create extraordinary lives and those who remain trapped in cycles of financial and emotional survival. The 7 secrets you're about to discover have been proven not only in academic laboratories, but in the most demanding laboratory that exists, real life, across hundreds of generations. If you apply even one of these principles for 30 consecutive days, you'll notice real changes in your mind, focus, and tangible results in your life. This isn't an empty promise based on cheap optimism. It's a guarantee backed by millennia of proven results under the most adverse conditions imaginable. If you stay with me until the end, you'll discover how each of these codes can become the key helping you move from scarcity to abundance, from survival to exponential growth, from paralyzing fear to total confidence in your ability to create the life you truly desire. Before beginning this transformative journey, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because here we share secrets that can change your financial and personal destiny, and we don't want you to miss a single piece of knowledge that could be the difference between success and stagnation in your life. Secret 1. Learn constantly, even for free. Imagine for a moment you face 2 equally tempting options. Receive $5,000 in cash today, money you could use to pay debts, treat yourself, or solve immediate problems, or invest that same time acquiring specific knowledge that could generate $50,000 next year. Which would you honestly choose? Most people, blinded by urgency and pressure from immediate needs, would take the money without hesitation. But those who have decoded the secret of lasting prosperity, who understand the deep mechanisms of wealth creation, always choose knowledge. Always. In Jewish culture exists a sacred concept called Talmud Torah, literally meaning the study of teaching. But this concept goes far beyond studying religious texts. It's about understanding, at cellular and spiritual levels, that continuous learning is the most profitable investment in the universe, because it's the only investment no one can ever take from you, even under the most adverse circumstances. Napoleon Hill discovered during his exhaustive research that all the millionaires he studied, without exception, shared something that radically differentiated them from the rest of the population. They never stopped learning. But here's the secret. Very few understand that could revolutionize your financial life. They didn't always pay money for that learning. They worked for free alongside mentors, asked uncomfortable questions others didn't dare ask, observed with obsessive attention to detail, experimented without fear of failure, failed fast and cheap, and tried again with new information. They converted every mistake into costly education and every experience into applicable wisdom. Think of it this revolutionary way. When you work for free to learn from someone who has already achieved what you want to achieve, you're planting invisible seeds in a garden that will later produce eternal fruit. Each new skill you acquire doesn't just add to your personal arsenal. It multiplies exponentially with previous skills, creating unique combinations that make you irreplaceable in any market. Do you know what the real mathematical and verifiable difference is between someone earning $30,000 a year and someone earning $300,000? It's not that they're 10 times more genetically intelligent, nor that they work 10 times more physical hours, nor that they've had 10 times more luck in life. The fundamental difference lies in the value of knowledge they possess, how they creatively combine it, and how they strategically apply it to solve increasingly complex and valuable problems. Jews have understood for centuries, through devastating persecutions and forced exiles, that education doesn't end when you leave formal school. It ends only when you die. That's why in their most sacred family traditions, dinner table conversations don't revolve around superficial weather or destructive gossip, but around stimulating ideas, profound intellectual debates, philosophical questions that stimulate the mind and challenge limiting beliefs. But here comes the truly revolutionary part that could change your financial life forever. You don't need an expensive university degree. You don't need a student loan enslaving you for decades. You don't need permits from bureaucratic institutions to apply this transformative principle. The internet has democratized knowledge in a way that has never existed before in all of human history. Today you can learn programming for free, master digital marketing without paying a peso, become an investment expert through free courses, develop sales skills with YouTube videos, learn languages with cost-free applications. The only real barrier that now exists between you and the knowledge you need to transform your life is your own mental resistance to leaving your comfort zone. Here's a direct question that could be your life's turning point. What highly demanded market skill could you completely master in the next 90 days if you dedicated just 1 hour daily of concentrated study? Programming, graphic design, copywriting, digital sales, data analysis, languages, trading, content creation. The list of opportunities is infinite, but the time you waste watching purposeless series or aimlessly browsing social media is also infinite. Jews developed over millennia the concept of master mind that Napoleon Hill subsequently formalized, the exponential power of connecting with other brilliant minds to dramatically accelerate your own intellectual and professional growth. They did this through collective study, rigorous intellectual debate, and intergenerational transmission of practical wisdom. The question that should keep you awake isn't whether you have time to learn new skills. The real question is whether you have time to remain ignorant in an exponentially changing world. Because while you doubt and procrastinate, others are studying and growing. While you complain about your situation, others are acquiring tools to change theirs. While you wait for the perfect moment that never arrives, others are already applying what they learned yesterday to create results today. If you're not willing to pay the price of continuous learning, you'll inevitably pay the much higher price of ignorance forever. Secret 2. Entrepreneurial mindset. Have you ever seriously wondered why some people seem to have an almost supernatural ability to create millionaire opportunities where others only see unsolvable problems, insurmountable obstacles, or devastating crises? Why do certain people manage to build financial empires starting from nothing, while others remain trapped in jobs they hate for decades? The answer isn't written in their genes, doesn't depend on their zodiac sign, isn't due to privileged family connections. The fundamental difference lies in their mindset, specifically in what success psychologists call entrepreneurial mindset, which Jews have cultivated like a mental muscle during millennia of survival under adverse conditions. Imagine this powerful analogy that could forever change your perspective on work and financial freedom. Most people spend their entire lives vigorously rowing in someone else's boat. They work hard to exhaustion, sweat blood, sacrifice themselves, tire physically and emotionally. But the fundamental direction of the boat, the final destination of the journey, the important strategic decisions, are always decided by the captain. At the end of the day, no matter how passionately and dedicatedly they row, they remain merely passengers on the journey toward someone else's dreams. Their most heroic efforts contribute to building others' empires, while they receive crumbs in the form of salaries that barely allow them to survive until next month. Those who have decoded the entrepreneurial mindset understand a fundamental truth that society tries to hide. It's infinitely better to build your own vessel, even if initially it's small, fragile, and imperfect, than to keep rowing forever in someone else's boat. In Jewish history, constant persecutions, forced exiles, arbitrary property confiscations, and mass expulsions forced them to develop a crucial survival skill, the extraordinary ability to create economic value where apparently none existed. They couldn't depend on stable jobs provided by benevolent governments because those governments could become hostile overnight. They couldn't trust institutional protection because those institutions could disappear with a decree. This historical necessity for self-sufficiency forged a unique mentality that sees in every crisis a disguised opportunity, in every problem a possible profitable solution, in every obstacle a ladder to something better. They developed what modern experts call lateral thinking, the ability to find creative and unexpected solutions to complex problems. Napoleon Hill called this personal initiative, identifying it as one of the most important factors separating millionaires from masses. But entrepreneurial mindset goes far beyond simply opening a business or becoming your own boss. It's about something much deeper and more transformative, assuming total, complete, and unconditional responsibility for your life, results, and future. It's about understanding at a cellular level that you are the CEO, the chief executive, the general director of your own destiny, regardless of whether you currently work for others or yourself. It's about developing what psychologists call internal locus of control, the unshakable belief that you have the power to significantly influence your results. What's the fundamental psychological difference between an average employee condemned to mediocrity and someone with entrepreneurial mindset destined for success? The average employee constantly asks, "What do I have to do to please my boss?" The entrepreneur obsessively asks, "What valuable problem can I solve to create mutual benefit?" The employee desperately seeks security, stability, and comfort, even if that security is an illusion that can disappear with an economic crisis. The entrepreneur constantly seeks opportunities, growth, and freedom, understanding that true security comes from the ability to create value continuously. The employee avoids risks like deadly poison, preferring the certainty of mediocrity to the uncertainty of growth. The entrepreneur intelligently calculates risks and converts them into competitive advantages, understanding that avoiding all risks is the biggest risk of all. But here's the secret. Very few people understand that could financially liberate you. You don't need initial capital, you don't need investors, you don't need a perfect business plan to start developing entrepreneurial mindset. All you need is clear vision and consistent action. The most successful Jewish entrepreneurs in history often began with nothing more than their extraordinary capacity to identify unmet market needs and find creative, economical, and innovative ways to satisfy them better than existing competition. Entrepreneurial mindset also means developing a completely different relationship with failure. Instead of seeing it as evidence of personal incompetence, they see it as valuable data, costly information, practical education that brings them closer to inevitable success. In Jewish culture, there's a fascinating and liberating concept, celebrating mistakes as golden opportunities for accelerated growth, because every intelligent mistake exponentially brings you closer to success, as long as you extract the correct lessons and apply those learnings immediately. Here's a direct challenge that could change your life in the next 30 days. Identify a specific problem you face daily in your life, work, or community, and design a creative solution, even if it's simple and imperfect. It doesn't matter how small or basic the solution seems. The entrepreneurial muscle develops only with practical exercise, not abstract theory. What would happen in your life if, instead of desperately seeking perfect security that doesn't exist, you started actively seeking the perfect opportunity waiting to be discovered? What would happen if you became someone who solves valuable problems for others, instead of someone who waits for others to solve your problems? True success, true freedom, true fulfillment never flourish under the protective but limiting wings of another boss. Secret 3. Save money before spending. Here's a fundamental, mathematical, and verifiable difference that determines whether you'll build generational wealth or live eternally on the roller coaster of financial stress. When financially broke, people receive money. Their first automatic thought is what to spend it on. When financially prosperous people receive money, their first instinctive thought is what percentage to save. This seemingly small difference in financial mentality determines whether you'll build an economic empire, benefiting your children and grandchildren, or live perpetually on the edge of financial survival, being enslaved by debts and dependent on monthly paychecks that never suffice. In Jewish tradition exists a sacred principle called tzedakah, superficially translated as charity, but in its deeper understanding speaks of managing all resources with divine wisdom, eternal perspective, intergenerational responsibility. This means understanding at spiritual and practical levels that every shekel, every peso, every dollar you receive has a purpose much greater and more transcendent than immediate gratification of superficial desires. Imagine that every peso you consciously decide to save is like placing a solid stone in building an invisible but indestructible wall around your family. Every peso saved with discipline is another stone in that financial fortress that will protect them when inevitable economic storms arrive. And storms always come: economic crises, recessions, job losses, medical emergencies, opportunities requiring capital. The difference between those who survive and prosper during these storms and those who are completely devastated is simple: who was financially prepared and who wasn't. Napoleon Hill discovered during his exhaustive research something that forever changed his understanding of wealth psychology. All millionaires he studied, without exception, had developed the iron discipline of paying themselves first. This means that before paying any expense, before any tempting whim, before any impulsive purchase, they religiously set aside a specific percentage of their income for their future self. But here's the fatal psychological error made by most of the population that condemns them to permanent financial mediocrity. They wait to have enough money to start saving. They wait for their expenses to magically decrease. They wait to earn more to start saving something. It's like waiting to be extremely thirsty to start digging a well in the desert. When financial drought arrives, when real emergency appears, when the investment opportunity that could change your life arises, it will be too late to start preparing. Do you know what the true magic is? The true transformative power of the saving habit that very few people understand. It's not in the specific amount you initially save. It's in the neurological habit you develop, the mental discipline you build, the abundance mentality you create. You can start by saving only 10% of any amount you receive, however small. If you receive 100 pesos, save 10 religiously. If you receive 1,000, save 100 without excuses. If you receive 10,000, save 1,000 automatically. The percentage is sacred, the amount is secondary. The absolutely incredible and transformative thing about this principle is that it works at any income level, from the most humble to the most abundant. I've known people earning 25,000 pesos monthly who are financially broke, living paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed about money. I've also known people earning exactly half, but having a solid financial cushion, giving them peace of mind and decision freedom. The difference isn't in how much you earn, it's in what percentage you consistently save. Jews have understood for centuries, through devastating economic persecutions and arbitrary property confiscations, that true wealth isn't measured by how much money you can ostentatiously spend to impress others, but by how long you could live comfortably without external income if absolutely necessary. This intelligent financial survival mentality has been the key to their prosperity through historical persecutions, global economic crises, devastating wars, and political changes that destroyed entire communities. But saving money disciplinedly isn't only for defensive emergencies. It's especially for offensive opportunities. When an extraordinary investment appears with potential to multiply your money, when a promising business needing initial capital arises, when the opportunity of your lifetime requiring immediate resources presents itself, only those with available cash can take advantage. Golden opportunity doesn't wait patiently for you to save money. It appears suddenly when you least expect it and disappears quickly if you're not financially prepared. Think of it this revealing way. Every peso you impulsively spend on unnecessary and insignificant things is a peso that won't be available when you really need it for something important. Every today's whim is tomorrow's lost opportunity. Every emotional purchase is a sacrificed investment. Napoleon Hill spoke of the exponential power of compound accumulation. Small amounts of money, accumulated consistently over years with iron discipline, become impressive fortunes generating passive income. But this requires something modern instant gratification society has almost completely lost: the psychological capacity to postpone immediate gratification in favor of multiplied future benefits. We live in a historical epoch where everything is immediate and addictive. Fast food satisfying instant hunger, instant credit allowing immediate purchases, entertainment at a click's reach, providing immediate distraction. But real wealth, true financial freedom, lasting prosperity are built only with strategic patience, unshakable discipline, and long-term vision. Here's an immediate financial challenge that could change your economic destiny. From the next money you receive, whatever the amount, set aside 10% before spending it on anything else. Do this religiously for 3 consecutive months and observe how it fundamentally changes your psychological relationship with money. The question that should keep you awake isn't whether you can afford to save money. The real question is whether you can afford not to do it. If you save absolutely nothing from what you receive, you'll be enslaved by time, debts, and circumstances forever. Secret 4. Be the best at everything you do. What do the Jewish baker making the neighborhood's best artisanal bread, the most respected and sought-after Jewish doctor in the city, and the most successful and admired Jewish entrepreneur in the region have in common? They all understand a fundamental principle Napoleon Hill called going the extra mile. Excellence is non-negotiable, regardless of how small, simple, or apparently insignificant the task you have in your hands. Imagine that excellence functions like an invisible but extraordinarily powerful magnet. While most people do just enough not to be fired, comply with minimum requirements to avoid problems, and settle for acceptable mediocrity, those practicing obsessive excellence automatically become human magnets, attracting irresistible opportunities, genuine recognition, better salaries, partnership proposals, and offers others can't even imagine. In Jewish culture exists a beautiful and profound concept called hidur mitzvah, literally meaning beautifying the commandment. In practical and applicable terms, it means that if you're going to do something, anything, do it in the most beautiful, perfect, and excellent way possible. Not because someone important is watching and evaluating you, but because your character forms silently in details no one observes, in decisions no one notices, in effort no one applauds. Napoleon Hill discovered during his exhaustive research that all millionaires he studied had a peculiar obsession differentiating them from the rest of the population. They literally couldn't do things halfway. Even in their most humble jobs, before becoming rich and famous, they consistently distinguished themselves by doing more than expected, delivering results superior to requirements, exceeding expectations even when no one asked. But here's the psychological secret most people don't understand that could revolutionize your professional career. Being the best doesn't mean being perfect from day one. It means being genuinely committed to continuous improvement, constant growth, permanent evolution. It means cultivating the mentality of obsessively asking, how can I do this better? Instead of how can I finish this faster? It means developing a scientist's curiosity, an Olympic athlete's discipline, and a master craftsman's patience. Think practically and applicably. If you're a restaurant waiter, you don't just serve food mechanically, but remember regular customers' names and specific preferences, anticipate their needs before they express them, and create a memorable experience, making them return and recommend the place. If you're an accountant, you don't just process numbers coldly, but find creative and legal ways to help clients optimize their finances, explain implications of each financial decision, and become their trusted consultant for all important economic decisions. If you're a salesperson, you don't just aggressively offer products but become an expert consultant for your clients, deeply understand their real problems, and recommend only solutions genuinely benefiting them, building long-term relationships based on mutual trust. Excellence has an absolutely incredible multiplying effect on your professional and personal life. When you do your job better than anyone else in your field, 3 transformations happen automatically and inevitably. First, you become completely irreplaceable in your organization or market. Second, you magnetically attract the best opportunities because intelligent leaders always seek exceptional talent. Third, you develop deep and unshakable confidence in yourself because you know through direct experience that you can master any challenge presented to you. Jews have understood for centuries that a reputation for excellence is the most valuable inheritance you can build and leave. Therefore, regardless of whether they're managing million-dollar businesses or selling products in a small neighborhood store, they maintain exactly the same inflexible standards of quality, service, and attention to detail. But here comes the part that could completely revolutionize your perspective on work and excellence. Authentic excellence doesn't cost more money or require more time. It costs more conscious attention, more deliberate care, more personal pride in the final result. It's fundamentally a mental decision, a character choice, not an external resource you need to acquire. Do you know the observable difference between someone who always has mediocre jobs and average salaries, and someone who constantly receives incredible offers and extraordinary opportunities? The first does only the minimum necessary to comply. The second does everything with the intention and care that it be their personal masterpiece. Napoleon Hill spoke of the universal law of compensation. You always receive back the exact equivalent to the value you deliver to the world, multiplied exponentially by the attitude with which you deliver it. If you deliver genuine excellence with an authentic service attitude, you receive back excellent opportunities with multiplied abundance. But beware of a common psychological trap. Excellence must be genuine and authentic, not superficial acting or calculated manipulation. People instinctively develop the ability to detect when someone is faking quality to obtain benefits, versus when someone really cares about doing things extraordinarily well, because that's their nature. The question you should ask yourself every day in every task, regardless of how small or large, is this: if someone paid me generously to do exactly what I'm doing right now, would I be genuinely proud to charge for this level of work? If the answer is no, then you already know exactly where your most immediate opportunity for professional and personal growth lies. The world, the market, life always abundantly reward those who consistently do more than expected. Secret 5. Unity and community. Have you noticed something fascinating about the world's most successful people? Never, absolutely never, did they achieve their extraordinary results completely alone, isolated in ivory towers, depending solely on their individual talent. Behind every great business triumph, every generational fortune, every lasting legacy, there's a sophisticated network of people who believed in the vision, supported the process, connected resources, and exponentially multiplied individual efforts. Jews discovered millennia ago something Napoleon Hill subsequently formalized in his revolutionary concept of mastermind, the exponential, almost magical power of intelligent union directed toward specific and well-defined objectives. Imagine this powerful analogy that could forever change your perspective on individualism and collaboration. A solitary tree, however strong, robust, and well-rooted, can be completely felled by a sufficiently violent storm. But a forest, a community of interconnected trees, resists even the most devastating hurricanes in history. Why? Because forest trees don't just protect each other from wind and storms, their root systems intertwine deeply underground, sharing essential nutrients, distributing water during drought times, and creating a collective strength network infinitely more powerful than the sum of their individual parts. This is exactly what Jewish communities have done during centuries of persecution, exile, and adversity. They've created human forests of mutual support, shared prosperity networks, collective strength systems that have allowed not only survival, but extraordinary flourishing under the most hostile conditions imaginable. In Jewish culture exists a sacred principle called kehillah, meaning sacred community, but going far beyond simply living geographically close to each other. It's about consciously creating a sophisticated mutual support network where one person's genuine success automatically becomes everyone's success, where individual challenges are faced collectively, and where wisdom is generously shared for common benefit. Napoleon Hill discovered during his research that all great fortunes in history were built by coordinated groups of people working in perfect harmony toward specific and well-defined objectives. Andrew Carnegie had more than 50 millionaires working on his team. Henry Ford surrounded his revolutionary vision with brilliant minds obsessively sharing his commitment to excellence and innovation. But here's the fundamental psychological error many ambitious people make that sabotages their success potential. They confuse strategic union with debilitating dependence. They think working as a team makes them weaker or less individually important. The truth is exactly opposite. True intelligent union doesn't make you weaker. It makes you exponentially stronger. It doesn't eliminate your unique individuality. It enhances and amplifies it. It doesn't reduce your natural capabilities. It multiplies them through synergy with other complementary capabilities. Do you know why Jews have achieved such disproportionate success in business, finance, science, and arts? Because they intuitively understand that when you genuinely help others prosper, you also automatically prosper. When you share valuable opportunities multiply exponentially for everyone involved. When you authentically celebrate others' triumphs, you magnetically attract more triumphs to your own life. Think of it this revealing way. If you have a lit candle and use it to light 10 more candles, does your original candle go out or weaken? Of course not. Now there's 11 times more light illuminating the space, and your candle keeps shining with exactly the same intensity. That's precisely what happens when you build genuine community based on mutual contribution. Your individual light doesn't diminish, but contributes to illuminating a much larger space. Intelligent union and community building also mean understanding that you have moral and practical responsibilities toward other people. In Jewish tradition, the concept of tikkun olam, literally repairing the world, teaches that each person has the sacred obligation to actively contribute to their communities and the world's collective well-being. This isn't naive altruism or idealism without practical foundation. It's strategic wisdom refined over millennia. Because when you consistently contribute to your community's success, your community automatically contributes to your personal success. When you consciously elevate the level of people around you, they naturally elevate your level. When you generously share knowledge, contacts, and opportunities, these return to you multiplied through channels you couldn't even have imagined. Napoleon Hill called this phenomenon harmonious cooperation. But truly effective and mutually beneficial cooperation requires each group member to contribute real, tangible, and meaningful value. It's not about receiving help for free like a parasite, but creating a prosperous ecosystem where everyone wins because everyone contributes according to their unique capacities. Here's a profound reflection that could change your perspective on human relationships. The world's loneliest people aren't necessarily the most independent or self-sufficient. They're frequently the most fearful. They fear others will take advantage of their generosity, fear their innovative ideas will be stolen or copied, fear their personal success will be diminished or eclipsed by others' success. But this scarcity mentality, this zero-sum perspective where my gain requires your loss, inevitably condemns them to limited achievements, restricted opportunities, a life of solitary struggle against problems that could easily be resolved with intelligent collaboration. The abundance mentality, conversely, understands a fundamental truth of the universe. There's enough success, enough prosperity, enough opportunities for absolutely all human beings on the planet, as long as everyone is genuinely willing to work intelligently for it and contribute real value to the world. It understands that life's best opportunities almost always arise from authentic human connections, from relationships based on mutual trust and genuine respect, not from cold and calculating transactions where each person tries to extract maximum possible benefit from the other. Here's a practical challenge that could transform your relationship network. Identify 3 people in your life whom you could significantly help this week. It could be sharing valuable knowledge, making a beneficial connection, offering a skill they need, or simply providing genuine emotional support. Do it without expecting anything in return, and observe how the universe responds to your generosity. The question that should guide all your interactions isn't whether you need others to succeed. The most important question is whether others need you to succeed so they can too. Authentic individual prosperity slowly dies when the community surrounding it fails or weakens. Secret 6. Accept criticism and corrections. Have you ever observed something fascinating about people who experience the fastest growth in their careers, businesses, and personal lives? They're precisely those with the extraordinary capacity to withstand, process, and benefit from the most direct, honest, and sometimes brutally uncomfortable criticism. This isn't a casual coincidence. It's a fundamental psychological law of human growth. In Jewish culture exists an ancestral tradition called tochecha, meaning constructive reproof, but going far beyond simply pointing out errors or defects. It's an art refined over millennia, the process of polishing rough human diamonds until converting them into perfect gems, shining with their own light. Imagine that constructive criticism functions exactly like intense fire, forging the world's most resistant steel. Common iron, when subjected to extreme high temperatures and precise expert hammer blows, completely transforms into indestructible steel, capable of withstanding pressures that would destroy any other material. Without that purifying fire and transformative pressure, iron would remain forever as weak, brittle, and useless metal for important constructions. Successful people intuitively understand that criticism is their personal forging fire, the painful but necessary process converting them into stronger, wiser, and more capable versions of themselves. Napoleon Hill discovered something absolutely revolutionary during his exhaustive research. All millionaires he studied had developed what he called emotional thick skin. But this didn't mean they were insensitive or indifferent to others' opinions. It meant they had learned the crucial psychological skill of completely separating criticism directed at their specific actions from attacks directed at their fundamental identity as people. This mental distinction is the difference between growing rapidly or stagnating permanently. When someone criticizes your work, strategy, approach, or results, they're providing valuable information about how to improve. When someone attacks your character, your value as a person, or your fundamental dignity, they're revealing more about their own insecurities than your real defects. Do you know what the greatest enemy is, the most destructive obstacle to personal and professional growth? It's not failure, which teaches valuable lessons. It's not lack of opportunities, which motivates you to create your own. It's not resource scarcity, which stimulates your creativity and ingenuity. The greatest enemy of growth is the inflated ego that obstinately refuses to accept it might be wrong, that it can improve, that it can learn something new. It's toxic pride, preferring to be comfortably ignorant rather than uncomfortably learning. It's arrogance, interpreting every improvement suggestion as a personal attack that must be aggressively defended. Think practically. Every valid and well-intentioned criticism you receive is literally free information, cost-free consulting on how to optimize your performance. It's like having an expert personal trainer showing your blind spots, identifying improvement areas, and offering specific recommendations to reach the next level, all without charging you a single peso. But most people, instead of appreciating this incredibly valuable information, take deep offense, automatically become defensive, and completely reject it before even considering whether it might contain useful elements for their growth. In the Talmud, there's a profound teaching that could revolutionize your perspective on learning. Much have I learned from my teachers, more have I learned from my colleagues, but the greatest part of my wisdom I have obtained from my students. Why does this apparently contradictory statement contain such powerful truth? Because students, beginners, people new to any field, ask fundamental questions experts no longer ask themselves. They point out obvious inconsistencies specialists no longer see due to excessive familiarity. They offer fresh and naive perspectives that renew and refresh established knowledge. Napoleon Hill spoke of the critical importance of having an invisible advisory council, mentors and role models, real or imaginary, constantly guiding your personal and professional development. But it's also absolutely crucial to have real, tangible, and honest advisors telling you unfiltered truth, even if that truth is initially uncomfortable or difficult to digest. Here's the secret that could revolutionize your personal growth speed. People who criticize you constructively, who point out your mistakes with intention to help you improve, love and respect you more deeply than those who only applaud and constantly flatter you. Professional flatterers feed your ego but kill your growth. Constructive critics challenge your ego but feed your evolution. Flatterers keep you comfortably stagnant where you are. Critics push you uncomfortably toward where you could reach if you applied their suggestions. But accepting criticism intelligently doesn't mean blindly accepting any opinion any person offers you. It means developing sophisticated criteria to distinguish between criticism coming from genuine experience and that coming from destructive envy, between that sincerely seeking your growth and that maliciously seeking your destruction. A powerful question you can automatically ask yourself when receiving any type of criticism is this: what specific part of this comment is objectively true, even though it emotionally hurts to hear and accept it? You'll almost always find at least one seed of practical wisdom, even in the harshest, most ill-intentioned, or apparently unfair criticism. Jews have survived and prospered through centuries of adversity because they developed the psychological capacity to learn even from their most hostile enemies. If someone pointed out a real weakness in their community, instead of taking offense and denying reality, they honestly recognized it and systematically worked to correct it. If someone identified an error in their business methods, instead of proudly defending themselves, they objectively analyzed it and strategically improved it. Here's a practical challenge that could transform your relationship with feedback. The next time someone criticizes you, instead of automatically reacting defensively, breathe deeply and ask with genuine curiosity, "Can you give me a specific example of what you just mentioned?" Observe how this simple question completely transforms the conversation's dynamics, from defensive conflict to collaborative learning. The emotional discomfort you temporarily feel when someone criticizes you constructively isn't a sign that the criticism is incorrect or unfair. It's a sign that your mental comfort zone is being healthily challenged, and that always, absolutely always, is beneficial for your long-term growth. Today's temporary discomfort is the inevitable bridge to tomorrow's permanent greatness. Secret 7. Protect your reputation. If I told you there exists an invisible asset more valuable than all the cash you can accumulate, more powerful than all the influential contacts you might know, and more enduring than any material investment you could make, would you believe me? That extraordinary asset, which can open doors you didn't even know existed, is your personal and professional reputation. Jews have understood for millennia, something Napoleon Hill categorically confirmed in his research. Reputation is the world's most powerful invisible currency, the one determining what opportunities come into your life, what people want to associate with you, and what level of trust the market grants you before you even demonstrate your capabilities. In Jewish tradition exists a profound and transformative concept called Shem Tov, literally meaning good name. But this concept goes far beyond what you're legally called on your identity document. It refers specifically to what your full name represents in people's minds when someone mentions it in conversation. What automatic thoughts come to mind when someone hears your name? Absolute trust or reasonable doubts, proven excellence or tolerable mediocrity, unshakable integrity or questionable ethics, extraordinary results or unfulfilled promises. Imagine that your reputation functions exactly like an invisible but extremely real bank account. Every promise you religiously fulfill makes a solid deposit in that account. Every word you faithfully keep adds compound interest to your balance. Every commitment you punctually honor increases your reputational credit line, but every broken promise is a massive and immediate withdrawal from that account. Every lie, however small it seems, generates debt with extremely high interest that can take years to completely settle. Every betrayal of trust placed in you is reputational bankruptcy that may require decades of consistent work to recover. Napoleon Hill discovered something absolutely fascinating during his exhaustive research. All millionaires he studied, without a single exception, had built their fortunes on a solid and unshakable foundation of personal and professional integrity reputation. Not because they were moral saints without human flaws, but because they intuitively understood that the world's most profitable and sustainable businesses always involve high levels of mutual trust, and trust is based entirely on reputation built through consistent actions over time. But here's the secret very few people understand that could revolutionize your career. Your reputation isn't built during grand public moments, when everyone is watching and evaluating your behavior. It's built silently in small daily details, in apparently insignificant decisions, in actions you perform when no important person is looking, and when there are no immediate visible consequences. It's not forged when you're on stage giving a brilliant presentation. It's forged when you discreetly fulfill a minor promise made to someone who can't benefit you professionally. It's not created with grandiose promises made in public. It's created with consistent actions performed in private over years. What's the fundamental difference between an ordinary person struggling to obtain decent opportunities and an extraordinary person constantly receiving irresistible offers? The ordinary person fulfills promises only when convenient, when it requires no personal sacrifice, when circumstances are perfect. The extraordinary person fulfills promises especially when it's inconvenient, when it requires significant personal sacrifice, when circumstances are adverse, because they understand that's precisely where real and lasting trust is built. Every small promise you make, every minor commitment you assume, is a test that life, the market, and other people constantly give you. If you say you'll call someone at 3 in the afternoon, do you do it punctually or find excuses to postpone? If you promise to deliver specific work on Friday, do you fulfill it religiously or negotiate last-minute extensions? If you commit to returning borrowed money on a specific date, do you respect it scrupulously or give creative explanations about delays? These apparently insignificant small tests mathematically determine whether people will trust you with bigger and more valuable opportunities in the future. No one will trust you with managing $1 million contract if they can't trust you with punctuality for a simple appointment. No one will partner with you in important business if they can't count on you for basic commitments. In the Jewish community, reputation transcends complete family generations. Children inherit not only the family surname, but absolutely everything that surname represents in terms of reliability, integrity, excellence, and values. Therefore, each individual decision is consciously made thinking about long-term impact. What effect will this action have on my personal name and my family's name during the coming decades? Napoleon Hill spoke of the magnetic power of attractive personality. But truly attractive personality, the kind generating extraordinary opportunities and valuable relationships, isn't based on superficial charisma, persuasion techniques, or manipulative charm. It's based on profound integrity, absolute coherence between what you say and what you do, between your declared values and observable actions. Here's a powerful reflection that could change your perspective on competition and opportunities. In a world where casual lying has become socially acceptable, where breaking promises is considered normal, where mediocrity is the tolerated standard, absolute truth automatically becomes an extraordinary competitive advantage. In a historical era where fulfilling basic commitments is considered exceptional, doing it religiously positions you as an exceptional person. In a society where consistent excellence is rare, practicing it makes you automatically irreplaceable. But meticulously caring for your reputation doesn't mean projecting an image of unattainable perfection. It means being authentically human, admitting your mistakes before others discover them, correcting your flaws before they become problems for other people, and genuinely apologizing when necessary, always backing those apologies with real behavioral changes demonstrating the apology is sincere. Solid reputation also includes how you consistently treat people who apparently can't do anything beneficial for you. Service employees, people in lower positions, individuals who have no power to influence your career. It includes how you speak about other people when they're not present to defend themselves. It includes how you handle confidential information entrusted to you. It includes how you respond under extreme pressure when things don't go as expected. Jews have understood that authentic reputation is like genuine perfume. If it's real and high quality, you don't need to apply much for others to naturally perceive it. If it's artificial and low quality, no matter how much you put on, it eventually fades and reality is exposed. A question that could fundamentally change your perspective on personal integrity. Would you be completely comfortable if all private conversations you've had about other people during the past year became public and reached the ears of the people involved? If the honest answer is no, then you already know exactly which specific area you need to work on to strengthen your reputation. Material wealth can be completely lost in an economic crisis, bad investment, legal lawsuit, or market change. But solid reputation built patiently over years opens doors that all the money in the world could never buy, creates opportunities no family inheritance can guarantee, and generates trust no academic degree can grant. Here we are, at the end of a transformative journey that has revealed the 7 fundamental codes that have allowed a community not only to survive humanity's most brutal adversities, but to prosper extraordinarily during millennia of persecution, exile, and systematic hostility. These aren't mystical secrets accessible only to a chosen few, nor magical formulas requiring special rituals or specific religious beliefs. They're universal principles, scientifically proven and refined through generations, that any person with genuine determination can immediately begin applying in their life to create extraordinary results. Let's briefly recap these 7 treasures of practical wisdom you now have in your hands. First, constantly learning from any available source, understanding that each new piece of knowledge is an invisible seed of future opportunities no one can ever confiscate from you. Second, developing authentic entrepreneurial mindset, assuming total, complete, and unconditional control over your destiny, regardless of your current situation. Third, saving money before spending, methodically building the financial fortress that will give you true decision freedom and lasting peace of mind. Fourth, being the best at absolutely everything you do, because consistent excellence is the universe's most powerful magnet for extraordinary opportunities. Fifth, building authentic union and community, exponentially multiplying your individual strength through genuine relationships based on mutual contribution and shared benefit. Sixth, accepting criticism and corrections with intelligent humility, using every honest feedback as premium fuel to accelerate your personal and professional growth. And seventh, meticulously caring for your reputation, patiently building the most valuable invisible asset you can possess, more enduring than any material wealth and more powerful than any external connection. But here's the most powerful, transformative and liberating truth of all. Simply knowing these principles won't automatically change your life, won't magically transform your financial situation, won't instantly resolve your current problems. The real, tangible, and measurable difference between sterile knowledge and transformative wisdom is consistent, intelligent, and persistent action. The difference between knowing intellectually and transforming practically is daily, disciplined, and systematic implementation of these principles in every area of your life. If a people systematically persecuted for centuries, who lost absolutely everything on multiple occasions, who faced genocides, mass expulsions, arbitrary property confiscations, and the most brutal adversities humanity can imagine, managed not only to survive but prosper extraordinarily by applying these ancestral codes, imagine what you can achieve if you completely adopt them and make them an integral part of your daily life. You don't need to change everything dramatically at once, which would be overwhelming and unsustainable. Consciously choose one of these fundamental principles and apply it religiously for the next 30 consecutive days. Carefully observe the results. Deeply feel the difference in your mentality, energy, and confidence. And then, when that principle is completely integrated into your automatic behavior, systematically add the next one. Profound and lasting changes never happen overnight like magic, but they happen inevitably and exponentially when you have the right tools, adequate mindset, and unwavering determination to use them consistently. Your current life, with all its limitations and frustrations, is the direct result of decisions you've made until this moment. Your future life, with all its possibilities and opportunities, will be the inevitable result of decisions you make from this crucial moment forward. You have in your hands principles that have successfully withstood the most demanding test that exists, thousands of years of practical application under real conditions. You have access to codes that have created generational fortunes, transformed complete family destinies, converted ordinary people into extraordinary legends. The question defining your future is no longer whether these principles work effectively. Thousands of years of historical evidence have categorically demonstrated they do work. The only question that matters now is whether you're going to make the personal commitment for them to work in your specific life. If this message has touched something deep inside you, if you felt that unmistakable spark of recognition telling you, this is exactly what I needed to hear at this moment in my life, if you've experienced that internal resonance confirming these principles could be the key you've been seeking, then the crucial moment has arrived to take decisive and immediate action. Subscribe right now to this channel and activate notifications, because here we'll continue consistently sharing practical wisdom, proven strategies, and transformative secrets that can definitively change your financial, professional, and personal destiny. We don't want you to miss a single video that could contain exactly the information you need to take the next leap in your life. But more importantly, much more valuable than any subscription or like you can give, immediately share this video with someone specific you want to see prosper alongside you. It could be a family member struggling financially who needs a new perspective. It could be a close friend trapped in mediocrity who deserves to know these tools. It could be a colleague with potential but needing guidance. It could be anyone in your circle who simply deserves access to these transformative principles. Because here's the most beautiful and powerful truth about authentic abundance. It only makes real sense, only generates deep satisfaction, only creates lasting fulfillment when generously shared with other human beings who are also on the path of growth and improvement. Jews understood this millennia ago and have practiced it religiously through generations. Napoleon Hill categorically confirmed it in his research and passionately preached it in his teachings. And now you have the historic opportunity to be part of this millennial chain of wisdom, extending through generations, cultures, and continents. In this video's comments, tell us specifically which of these 7 fundamental principles you're going to implement first in your life during the next 30 days. Don't just think about it internally. Don't just consider it mentally. Write it publicly, commit textually, declare it openly. Because when you write a specific commitment in a public space, when you declare it before a community of people on the same growth path, you're activating deep psychological power that converts vague intentions into concrete actions, transforming passive desires into active results. Additionally, by sharing your public commitment, you join a community of people applying these same principles, facing similar challenges, celebrating similar victories. This mutual support network can be the difference between sustained success and premature abandonment. Remember this fundamental truth that could define the rest of your life. Every great personal transformation in human history began with a single person who made the conscious decision to stop being a passive spectator of their own existence and become the active protagonist, the principal director, the absolute CEO of their own success. That person could be you. That moment could be now. That decision could be this one. Your transformation moment is right now in this instant while you read these words. Your opportunity for change is here, available, waiting only for your decision. Your extraordinary future begins with the choice you make in the next 30 seconds. Are you going to be someone who knows these millennial secrets but doesn't apply them? Someone who has the information but doesn't implement it? Someone who understands the principles but doesn't practice them? Or are you going to be someone who lives these codes, who breathes them daily, who converts them into the unshakable foundation upon which they build an extraordinary life. The choice, as it always has been and always will be, is completely yours. But remember, not choosing is also a choice, and the consequences of that non-choice will also be completely yours. The universe, the market, life itself are waiting for your answer. What's it going to be?